So Asics has revamped the Metaspeed Sky to give us the Metaspeed Sky 2. The Metaspeed Sky Plus. So the Metaspeed Sky Plus has some big changes from the first version. I've done a few runs in the shoe, so I'm ready to give you my first impressions as well as compare it to the first Metaspeed Sky. So a quick disclosure out of the way that Asics did send me the shoe for the purpose of review, but that does not influence my thoughts or opinions at all. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the specs. So the stack height of the Metaspeed Sky 2 is the same as the first version with 39mm in the heel, 34 in the forefoot with a 5mm heel to toe drop. The weight comes in at 7.2 ounces, and I put this in the carbon plated racer category. Alright, now let's go ahead and talk about what's new in the shoe overview. So the upper is now a motion wrap upper, which to me seems like a more polished, less scratchy, and more flexible version of the upper found on the Metaspeed Sky 1. The laces now are more premium as well, with kind of those little nubby things that you find on the Vaporfly, and the tongue is still very thin and flimsy. So the midsole is composed of Flight Foam Turbo, and it does have a carbon plate in there as well, but the plate position got adjusted to be closer to the foot, and the midsole platform in the forefoot is much wider than V1 as well. The outsole is pretty similar, except now there are larger holes, and it's a bit less coverage in the midfoot area. Alright, so now let's talk about the fit. So the fit was an area that was kind of concerning in the version 1 of the Metaspeed Sky. With that, a lot of people found that their true to size was too snug, so they ended up going up half a size or a full size. And luckily that has been fixed with the Metaspeed Sky Plus, because I went with my normal true to size 12, and that fit great. And honestly, it isn't too dissimilar from my Metaspeed Sky V1, which is a size 13, so a full size bigger. So I think definitely go true to size with this one and don't get the same size that you had in the previous version. But of course, if you have a local running store, feel free to try it on there to get the best results. So now let's get into more detail about the ride of the shoe. So far I've done a couple of runs in it. The first one was just kind of a moderate paced run, and then the second one was a progression run where I started out moderate, worked to marathon, and then half marathon race pace. And I really enjoyed the ride of this shoe. So I think the heel back is kind of similar to the first Metaspeed Sky, but that forefoot feels completely different. So it really sticks out here and makes it a lot thicker in the forefoot than the first Metaspeed Sky. So what happens here is you have a really wide landing platform, and you land, you have that foam that's up top, it compresses that foam, rolls you on your forefoot really quickly, and then you pop off. So I thought that it had a really snappy pop off the toe feeling and a lot more cushion up there too. So I think with this new plate placement and the foam, it worked really well with my stride. I thought it complemented it when I was going at those race paces where it felt like I was just gliding through, and it was super smooth. But honestly, one thing that kept popping up in my head was, it kind of reminds me of if you took Nike's Vaporfly and then you took the plate placement and the forefoot of the Alphafly, you combine them together, you replace the Air Zoom pods with ZoomX foam, and that's kind of what this shoe feels like, and I'm not mad about that at all. I think that's an amazing combo in a shoe where it feels more like a traditional racing flat, not something crazy like the Alphafly, yet you still get that nice forefoot cushion and pop off the toe. Alright, now let's go ahead and dive deeper into the comparison and go head to head with the Metaspeed Sky V1. So starting with the upper of these two shoes, I didn't mind the upper of the V1 at all, besides of course the fit issue, and then I thought that the laces were really long and not very premium feeling. So like I mentioned, the updated upper of the motion wrap on the Metaspeed Sky Plus, it just feels way better. It's a little more flexible, more comfortable, more premium feeling. So I definitely give the win to the Metaspeed Sky Plus in the upper department. Alright, now let's compare the midsoles. So technically these two shoes do have the same stack heights. However, the Metaspeed Sky V1 has 4% less foam in it, and that's thanks to that kind of bulbous forefoot on the Metaspeed Sky Plus. Also, the plate placement between these two shoes is different. So the plate on the Metaspeed Sky V1 is more spoon-shaped, so the plate is closer to the ground, while on the Metaspeed Sky Plus, it's kind of a flatter plate where it puts it closer to your foot. So again, even though these two shoes have the exact same stack height, I do find that the Metaspeed Sky Plus feels a lot more cushioned, especially in the forefoot, and gives you kind of a more aggressive pop and just a more kind of springy feeling up there as well. So for me, this is exactly the kind of cushioning I'm looking for like a half marathon or marathon. But the first Metaspeed Sky, there's a little bit less underfoot there. It feels a little more responsive, and I would probably prefer this for more like a 10K effort compared to the little extra underfoot feel that you have on the Metaspeed Sky Plus. All right, now talking about the outsole, again, they are very similar. The holes are a little bit bigger here, a little less coverage, but they both grip well on all the conditions I've run on, which is pretty much dry road and gravel. So far, I have really been loving the Metaspeed Sky Plus. It took everything that I loved about the Metaspeed Sky 1 and then just kind of one-upped it with the more premium upper, more cushion under the forefoot, and that more propulsive feel off the toe off. I think both shoes are great, but this is definitely what I'm going to be wearing for marathons compared to the first Metaspeed Sky. So I haven't tried the Metaspeed Edge Plus yet, but I've heard it might kind of feel more similar to the Metaspeed Sky 1 because it doesn't have that big bulbous part. And then the plate is kind of more spoon-shaped like it was on the Metaspeed Sky 1, but it does have different toe spring, so I'm curious to try that out and kind of compare them. But either way, I think this is a great improvement over the Sky 1. And if you do want to go more in depth and learn the difference between the Metaspeed Sky Plus and the Metaspeed Edge Plus, and which one might work better for you, definitely check out my other video I made, which goes more into depth about that. So I will definitely be putting more miles, races, and paces into this shoe to give you my final verdict in the full review. Subscribe so you don't miss that. And as always, keep on running.